Hi everyone, it's Beth Delbaugh at Greenbrier Stamp Studio in Fayetteville, Pennsylvania. So I received a lot of requests after the demonstrator planning place video for this little 3D pop-up house card. So I'm going to attempt to walk you through making this today. I'm going to be going pretty slow. So if you notice pauses in between my instruction, please excuse that. I just want to make sure there's a lot of measurements, a lot of scoring, a lot of marking, and I want to be really accurate with that. So I'm just going to take it really slow, make sure that all of my notes are correct as I'm relaying that information to you so that we don't make any mistakes along the way. So this card folds flat. It will fit into an A2 envelope. It does pop up. So it's like dimensional in 3D. And you can put a sentiment here on the roof. You can put a sentiment inside of the roof. You could also put a sentiment here on the back of the house. So let's begin with our measurements. First, you're going to have a piece of cardstock that is cut at 4 by 12, 4 inches by 12 inches, and you're going to score it at 2 3/4, 5 5/8, 3 3/8, and 11 1/4. Now, I have marked, your paper is not going to have these dark lines. I've just marked my paper so that you can see exactly where those score lines are going to be. So that is our piece of 4 by 12 cardstock, scored at 2 3/4, 5 5/8, 3 3/8, and 11 1/4. Our second piece of cardstock is going to be for our roof. That piece of cardstock is 3 1/2 by 5 1/4, and then we're going to score it at 2 5/8, which is the center, on the long side. And our last piece of cardstock is going to be 1 1/4 by 3 5/8. We're going to score that at 3/8 and 3 1/4 on the long side. And then on the short side, you're going to score it at 5/8, which is right down the center. So score there, and score there. So those are the 3 pieces of cardstock that we're going to be working with. Okay, now we're going to go back to our piece of cardstock that is 4 by 12. On this piece, we're going to make a mark at 1 3/8 from the top on the left-hand side. We're also going to mark it 1 3/8 from the top on the right-hand side. And now I'm going to draw a line straight across from one side to the other. Now you would want to do this in pencil so that this is not very visible. I'm doing this in a Sharpie marker just so you can clearly see what I am doing. So now I have this. Now I'm also going to make a mark from 1 3/8 from the left-hand side. So right here is my first mark. And then continuing across at 7. You're going to make sure that your little flap piece is still over here on the right-hand side. So 1 3/8 and 7. And now what we're going to do is draw a line directly from the corner here, where that mark was, up to the top where this mark is. And now I'm going to make another line from right here at the corner where these two score marks intersect up here to my point again. And you can see exactly what that's going to be. That's going to be our roof peak. And then I'm coming down here, so you're going to skip a section, come down here to where we made our mark at 7 inches, and we're going to do the same thing from the intersection of those scores up to my peak, and then from the peak down to the intersection of those scores. So now I have this. Okay. Now I'm not going to do anything to that other piece of cardstock that was for the roof, but this piece of cardstock, the small piece that we had, this is actually going to be the mechanism for our house. This is going to be the part that's going to allow the house to fold and then to pop up. So this piece, we're going to fold in half. And if you're not just kind of eyeing it up and folding a person, the exact measurement on that would be 1 13/16. That's going to be exact center. So we're going to fold there. And now we're going to go ahead and right here where this, so here is your score line here. You have a score line here, and you have the score the whole way through the center. I'm going to come in here and mark just a little diagonal off the sides. Same thing over here. Just a little diagonal off the side. And then I'm going to cut just a little diagonal to either side of that score. And now we're going to go ahead, find a pair of scissors and cut. So on my large 4x12, I'm cutting this, this, all of this, 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 and I want to just make a slight little diagonal over here, and I'm going to cut that out. So everything that has the scribbles, I'm going to cut. So let's go ahead and do that. So this is what I'm going to have for that. And then this little piece, we're going to go ahead and cut this little center section and this section. So let me go ahead and cut that for you. I'll show you what that's going to look like. So that's going to look like that. So let me lay out all of my cut pieces so that you can see exactly what we have. So here we have our 4x12. Here we have our roof piece. And here we have our folding mechanism. Okay, so that is all of our pieces. Now we're going to go ahead and glue everything together. Okie dokie. So first you're going to take your house piece, the side that has the tab. I'm going to fold. So I have some drawing on mine. I'm going the opposite direction, just so you don't see the lines that I have on mine. You're going to fold this way. So you have your little tab. And I'm going to use some multi-purpose glue. And actually, before you do this, if you just want to go back over, fold on all of your score lines, just so they're nice and pliable. I am going to go ahead and put glue. I'm using multi-purpose glue, so it gives me a little time to move things around. And I'm just folding my house over and gluing right onto that tab. So now, when I do this, I have my house. So the tab was glued to the inside to make my house. Okay. So let's see here. Give me 1 second here. Okay, now I'm going to take my mechanism. Again, I'm going to fold on all of those score lines just to make sure it's nice and pliable. And I am going to take the tab that is on the left-hand side and fold it backwards, and the tab that is on the right-hand side and fold it forward. I'll leave these two up in the air for now. So I have this tab folded back, this tab folded forward. So you'll see that there's one tab going each direction there. Okay, now I'm bringing my house back in. So I want it to fold like that. And I'm going to lay it down. And I'm going to use my grid just so I can make sure that my points are kind of lined up on that line so that they're even. This tab that is folded to the back, I'm going to go ahead and put adhesive on here. And I'm going to lay it right at the point of my roof on that side. Okay. Now this little tab that is still here in the front, I'm going to put adhesive on that and lay the roof on this side right down on top of my adhesive and push so that that's adhered really well. And fingers crossed, when we pop this open, the mechanism is now right here in the center of my house. Okay. Now I have my two top flaps. One flap is going to fold backwards. The other flap is going to fold forward. So flap on the left to the back, flap on the front, on the right to the front. I'm going to lay my roof down. My fold right here in the center, and I'm going to put adhesive on the flap to the left that is folded to the back. And I'm going to lay that right in the center. I should have an equal border to either side of my roof so that this can fold down, and I'm going to push that down. So the flap that we put the glue on is now adhering to this side, the back side of my roof. Now I have this remaining flap to the front. I'm going to go ahead and put my adhesive on there, fold my roof down, and adhere the adhesive there. And now I have my house. So there's my house with my roof. I can lift that up. I can put my sentiment in there if I want to. And it folds flat down. So that is the base of our house. Now, I'm just going to give you, I'm not going to show you the whole decorating process for the house. But as you can see, we're going to put a roof on either side. You can do both sides, front, back. I left my back plain so that you could write on it, but you could put windows and everything back there. So we're going to go ahead and cut some more cardstock for the roof. We're going to have 2 pieces. I've used black cardstock. Both pieces are going to be cut at 2.5 by 3 3/8. And I went ahead and embossed mine with the Forever Plaid embossing folder. I thought it looked kind of like a tile. So again, 2 pieces, 2.5 by 3 3/8 for the roof. And I'm just going to go ahead. They're going to affix onto those roof panels. You're going to have just a tiny little border of the brown cardstock on either side of that. Well, actually, it's on all 4 sides. And then I'll flip it over and put the other piece of my roof down. And then, like I showed on the sample, if you want, you can go ahead and add a little panel with a sentiment on the outside of the roof, or you could do something on the inside of one flap or of both flaps if you want. So that's up to you, how you want to decorate your roof. So now we have our little tile roof on there. Now for the sides of the house, you're going to use 2 pieces of cardstock cut at 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, so they're a perfect square. Again, 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, 2 pieces. I went ahead and used the exposed brick embossing folder, and then what I did was just kind of touched on the raised part of that with some white pigmented ink. I just thought it looked kind of like that stucco-y brick. But you know what? Those. Now see, I just did what I said I hate when people do. I gave you wrong dimensions. It's not 2 3/4 and 2 3/4. It's 2.5 by 2.5. So again, not 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. It's going to be 2.5 by 2.5. So let's cut those down so that we can do it properly. All right, let's try it again. That's better. All right, so those are going to go on our sides. And then we're going to do the front and back of the house. So this is a little trickier because we're going to have to measure for that little peak of the roof. So we're going to have 2 pieces of cardstock, 2 5/8 by 3 7/8. 2 5/8 by 3 7/8, 2 pieces. And then what we're going to do is we are going to mark at 1 1/4 on the short side, and then down from the top 1 1/4 on both left and right side. And then we are going to make our line from point to point there, and from point to point there. So we're going to have that. And then when you cut it, it's going to look like this. And I've done the same thing. I've used my exposed brick embossing folder, some of the white ink, just to kind of make it look like a stucco effect. And then we're going to go ahead and adhere these. And I'm not doing it here just because I'm trying not to take up much time, but you know, you could always just place these before you glue them, making sure that they don't need to be trimmed anywhere. Okay. And then there we have our house. That is going to, I mean, that's the fundamentals of it. Now, certainly you can go back in. I've just taken some cardstock, cut out little squares. That's just a little rectangle, and I just angled the corners. The flowers, I just used, this is the Sips and Cheers DSP paper. I just cut some flowers out of there. This flower stamp down here is the Weekend Adventures stamp. I just stamped those right on the white cardstock and used some of the watercolor pencils to color them. Again, here, it's just little squares, rectangle. I used a little circle die cut and then just drew some little lines on there. Again, just little rectangles that are stacked for the front steps. So you could decorate it in any way that you want. But there it is. That's our little pop-up 3D house that fits flat into a A2 envelope. So hope that you can follow along with that and make some houses of your own. I mean, you know, the possibilities are endless with the way you could decorate them. You can make little villages, great for somebody that has moved into a new home, their first home, whatever. So let me know what you did with it. I would love to hear and hope you enjoyed that. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.